All right, so is anybody having any trouble with that, or does everybody think they got it? All right, so now we're going to start up the notebook. So we're going to take, I hear a lot of discussion. I don't know if, are people having problems still, or? Yes. Somewhat? Okay. Oh, I don't know off the top of my head. I'm not good with terminal editors. On PuTTY. I don't know off the top of my head. What? Okay. Try Control-Shift-V. Thank you. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start up the notebook now. So just type Jupyter Notebook in your shell, and then that should start the notebook. And that's going to load the config file that you just entered. So if there are any bugs with with anything that you wrote, it'll find out here. There shouldn't be, but yeah. And it may take a couple seconds for the notebook to boot up. Whatever web browser you like on your laptop, and you're going to type in the IP of your system, which is the IP that you use to SSH, and then colon 8000, 888, which is the IP that it should say is running right here at the bottom. So HTTP : the IP of your system, and then 888. Okay. And then, so you do that, you go to the IP that AWS gives you, and then you do /login, and you should be at a Jupyter Notebook web page. And yeah, is anybody having any trouble with that? I know this is typically the step where things may go wrong. Yeah.
So I just finished this in the and like
Yep.
So, but it doesn't like this page.
So go to your web browser.
It's also the same.
No, but don't do localhost. So you got to do whatever your AWS IP is. So everybody, just a reminder real quick, to go to your AWS IP address in the URL box of your web browser. Depending on how things are set up, your IPython notebook may suggest you to go to localhost : 888. But because we set up everything to do the port forwarding, you can go to the IP and it would do the same thing. Yeah. If you go to your terminal window, does it appear that there was an attempted connection? No. Yeah. So you can Control-C the IPython window and then reboot it. Alternatively, you might have an IP error, like an error in the way that you wrote the IP, but I'm not sure. Don't try and copy this. This is just the IP from my machine, but yeah. All right. Any other difficulties? Oh, sorry. Yeah. Go back to your terminal.
running?
Oh yeah, so you're not
running.
running. Yeah, so you need to do Jupyter Notebook. Jupyter Notebook. All right, unless there are any other, oh, yeah.
I still don't understand what should I do. You mean I should copy the
So,
IP here, this one?
yeah, that IP,
And
then go to, yep, new, and then paste that,
just paste it here.
and then colon, or no, colon, not a slash,
Colons,
so like this guy,
this one,
and then 888, yep,
it's okay.
slash login,
Login.
yep, try that. There you go.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Yeah. Let me come around in a second. We're almost done. All right. So then this is how you stop the machine if everything works. Obviously, you can log in. You have a Jupyter Notebook now. You can run all of the deep learning libraries out of that IPython notebook. But when it comes time to, you're done with your work or you need to get food or something like that, you can go ahead and stop your instance. And you do that by clicking on it, right-clicking on it, going down to instance state and clicking stop. So for those of you who are comfortable with where things are right now, you guys can go ahead and do that. And then if you want to later, you can restart it or do something totally different. Do note that if you want to use the IPython notebook again, you're going to have to restart the instance and then restart IPython notebook. It's not like a perfect flash of the instance state. So that's a basic introduction on how machines on EC2 work. This is where the billing is. So if you guys go up here to your account name in the top right of your AWS EC2 home, you can click on it and go to My Billing Dashboard. And that's where all the bills are going to be tallied. And then when you want to enter your credits, you guys are going to, from within the billing dashboard, go down here. I'm sorry, it's hard to read, but that says credits or tokens. It'll always say credits, but this is what we're referring to when we say tokens or credits or anything like that. And then you enter your token under the promo code section. You do your CAPTCHA, and then you click redeem, and then it'll show up as credit to your account underneath it. Does that make sense for everybody? You don't have to do this now. You can do this whenever, but that's the process for you if you need it. And then yeah, some parting thoughts. So obviously, remember to shut down your machines. It is really terrible when you start up a P2 X large and then you leave it running accidentally and you're overdrawn on everything. So sometimes AWS support is nice. They'll be understanding since we're students, but try not to make the mistake because it's a lot of a headache that you don't want to have to deal with. And yeah, just because you close the SSH doesn't mean that the machine has been turned off. So make sure that so don't just turn off the SSH, actually go into the EC2 dashboard and shut everything down. Check to see if the code that you need exists as an AMI. I can't tell you the number, like I mentioned earlier, there were a number of times where I was stuck trying to figure out how to install libraries, then I found out that there was an AMI that already did it for me. So don't duplicate the work unless you don't need to. Only launch an expensive instance when it's time to train, not develop. So it might be nice to figure out that your code works on a P2X large, but it's not very financially sound to do so. So figure out that all your code works on something like a T2 micro with all the libraries installed, and then when it's time to actually run the training for your model, then put it on a P2X large or whatever kind of crazy machine you want to do. And that's when you'll get hit with the bills, and then it's okay. The other thing is If you're working in a group, consider making a group AWS account. I know there's a group project portion of this course. So consider making a group account. That way you can have all of your credits redeemable under that account. You don't have to, but it's a nice idea. And you don't have to wait for somebody to turn off the machine. So if you want to develop or do some work on the machine, you don't have to call your group partner who might be asleep to turn on the machine or turn off the machine, depending on what's going on. And then the other thing you might need to keep an eye out for is that you do need permissions from AWS support to launch a GPU machine. It shouldn't take long to do. You just need to submit a ticket, and they'll do everything for you. Once you do that, you'll only be allowed to launch one GPU instance traditionally. Sometimes, if you're really nice, you can get them to let you do two, but not always. And they should handle the entire process for you. It's exactly the same as setting up a traditional T2 account, like we just did, but the idea is that now you just choose the crazy expensive account crazy expensive machine when you actually need to do it. So that's it for the recitation. Thank you guys for coming out. Other than that, I know there are a couple of people who still have some questions or issues, but yeah, thanks guys. Yeah. If anybody has Canvas issues, come talk to us. We'll try our best to figure it out. Yeah, so we'll get those to you. Yeah. Yep.